Thanks for joining us and welcome back to the Watchman on the Wall podcast. Periodically, we'll bring you true stories of angelic encounters, heavenly visitations, near-death experiences, as well as modern-day prophecies that are relevant to us today. When we come back, we'll begin our next episode. Hello and welcome back to the Watchman on the Wall podcast. Today we're going to highlight a man who actually predicted the assassination attempt of former President Trump. Now, he predicted this some 3 months before it happened back in March. I'm going to play a little clip today of that actual prophecy. We're going to come back and talk about it. So here now is that clip of Pastor Brandon Biggs and his prophecy.
And then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking. People say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. The Lord told me, He said, I am not done with America. Amen. He said, there's going to be a new wave of patriotism coming out. And that's whenever I saw Trump, and I saw a red wave coming out of Michigan. And then I saw Oklahoma, and there was embers of people, and they had torches all throughout Oklahoma, and they were raising up these torches that looked like fire, and they were bringing forth a new patriotism upon the nation, and it was being birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout America, all throughout, and I saw Trump rising up. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash. Yeah. I saw they had a great economy plan, a crash, worse than the Great Depression. It would be a great dark time, but the Lord said it would be forth a time of a season of a shaking, and it would be a shaking to awaken.
Now, that was quite epic, but I want to play another clip that he made the same day, right after the assassination attempt. He went live on the internet, I'm not sure what platform, talking about the assassination. And he goes on to talk about Biden stepping down, something happened at the Olympics coming up, the dollar crashing, a power grid failure, and more. So I want to play that clip now, and then in part two, he's going to go a little bit more into this economic crash. So here now is more from Brandon Biggs when he went live right after the assassination attempt.
I can't believe it. Well, there's part of it, whenever I told the Lord had me last night interceding for President Trump. And he said, Brandon, they will do it today. You must intercede. And I was up all night praying for him, and I was interceding. I mean, it was heavy intercession. And he told me, the prophecy that you gave about the ear will come to pass. And the bullet grazed his ear. It busted his ear, just like I told everybody. I saw blood flowing down his face, and the Lord said he would be spared. And when this happens, he would become radically born again, because the Lord spared his life today. And he would become baptized in the Holy Ghost, radically saved by the power of God. And I'm telling you, great revivals coming to America. This is another example of God's hand on 45. We've seen it. It just happened. It just happened. This is exactly what I prophesied. And it manifested even to the earlobe, that they missed him, and it grazed his ear and busted his eardrum. And I'm telling you all, God's hand in mercy is on this nation. There's going to be some hard days ahead, y'all, but I'm telling you, a massive revival is about to break forth in this land. And we're going to see one of the greatest harvest of souls this world has ever seen before. Like I said, I don't try to focus on all the doom and gloom people think I do, and I come on and prophesy about all the doom and gloom all the time. I come on here to tell you about what Jesus is going to do too. And yeah, I warn you, I'm a watchman. That's my job. I warn you about what's coming. I warn you about the wealth transfer. I warn you about the dollar collapse. I warn you about a lot of things. And this is another example of one of the things I told you all to pray for him, to intercede for him, and that the angels would bear him up in their hands, lest we dash our foot against a stone, that no weapon formed against him would prosper. I intercede every single day for things that the Lord gives me, and he warns me about things, and he tells me, Brandon, this is coming. This is coming. This is coming. You got to pray for the volcano in Italy. You've got to warn those people, because I told you I saw a tsunami wave coming into the shore, and I saw hundreds of thousands of people perishing because of the tsunami wave coming in. And I've warned everybody about that. And now those volcanoes are coming up, and it's happening right now. And the major one has not happened, but but I believe, like I said, y'all, we have authority. I don't come on here and just tell you all this stuff and just drop these things like a fortune teller. I'm trying to tell you this so we can intercede and stop the plans of the enemy. We have authority to stop the devil and in his tracks. If you realize, when I come on here and I tell you all what the Lord's doing, and he says, hey, Brandon, I want you to go on there and warn the people what the enemy's trying to do. And we have 50,000 people watch it. How many people are watching the video and praying? If one, Abraham, stood in the gap for Sodom and Gomorrah, and God, the Lord was willing to spare it, and he was interceding, and look at what happened. He kept coming back and saying, listen, I'm willing to spare the city if there be 5 righteous, 10 righteous, whatever. And then here we are. We have 50,000 people watching a video, and they're praying for peace and for protection. And by a watchman, like here I am, a watchman. I'm standing up on the wall, and I'm saying, look, there's a storm coming. I have a storm coming, and I warn everybody down below on the wall, from the wall, and saying, listen. And then everybody over there is preparing and praying and believing God for protection for President Trump, and praying for America. Look at what we can do if we join together as one, and we pray together as one, and we intercede as one, and we say, no, devil, thus far and no further. You will not touch these people. You will not touch our children. You will not touch our loved ones. They will come home. They will do this or whatever. And I believe there's power in unity and prayer. I believe with all my heart for these last days, Jesus is joining up a great army of believers that will stand in the gap for America, that will stand in the gap for the nations. The next thing the Lord warned me about was to pray for the Olympics. I warned you all to pray for the Olympics, pray for the aquatic center, pray for the train, a green train coming out of Germany. There's so many things that the Lord has given me. Praying for the baseball fields. I warned you all to pray for the baseball fields because of drones coming in. I warned you for this, to pray for these things because the enemy has plans. And if we can spoil his tactics and spoil his plans, then we win. We don't want these things to come to pass. Today was an example of prayer and intercession that Jesus came through, and the blood of the Lord protected President Trump today. I believe God's not done with him, and that there is a plan for him to bring a fix, basically, of what I want to say. Remember, I told you this. I said the dollar would crash, and that he would have to create a new currency that would be Canada and Mexico and America all together, creating a one currency, and that he would take pieces. And this is interesting because the way the Lord showed me, it was like a ship that was falling apart. Okay, and he took the pieces of the ship and made a new rocket ship. But he took this piece and that piece and that piece, but it didn't look like it would fly. The ship looked like it was all busted and messed up, and it was in pieces. But he took each piece by the wisdom of the Lord, because the Lord said, I will anoint him with wisdom like Solomon. And I saw him take these pieces, all of these pieces, and he put them all together and made a weird looking rock, like a plane, and it took off again. But it was a struggle. And the Lord told me, he said, I will create a new thing. I'm going to do a new thing. And it won't be as great as what it was, son, but it will fly again. And so I believe he was referring to America. I believe there's things that the Lord, like I told you about the oak trees. There's 4 oak trees, and the Lord said it would be I believe in my spirit, it was 4 years. And and the storm came on suddenly. And so, and I've warned you all about the holiday season with the hollyberry bush. Is that right? The hollyberry, the tree with the berries. And the Lord said it would be about the winter time and to pray over the winter time. And the angel came to me and he told me, he said about the investments and about the cryptocurrencies and about things like that. And that there would be a wealth of laid up for the righteous, a transfer of wealth from the wicked laid up for the just, and it would happen. And there would be the people that are listening. It would not happen for everybody because not everybody is listening. Not everybody wants it. But I believe the people who are hungry and that know that they need to support the kingdom in the last days, I believe that God will do something huge right before the catching away, and then we'll have victory after the catching away. That God is not a God that loses. He's a God that's victorious in every area. He is victorious in the beginning. He's victorious in the end, and he's victorious in the middle. He's a God that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we dare ask or think. He is not a defeated God. He is a victorious God, and he is abiding in us. So how much more should we be victorious? Because we have the victor inside of us. Greater is he that is in you and he that is in me than he that is in the world. Greater is he. Just think about that. If he's inside of us, we should be having victory too.
They don't know what happened with Trump.
Oh, they tried to kill him today. They just a little bit ago. The prophecy that I gave, that his eardrum would bust and that they would shoot and miss and they would gaze his ear and his eardrum would bust. It happened. If anybody goes and Googles it right now, he was at a campaign rally and they just tried to assassinate him. And I tried to warn everybody that this was coming. I gave this exact word. I even told you the ear that they would miss. And I said it busted his eardrum. And I saw blood flowing down his face. And this is exactly what I saw. And
at a Trump rally.
At a Trump rally. It just happened. It just happened. This just happened. That's why I'm going live, to tell you that prophecy was fulfilled. The Lord spared his life, ladies and gentlemen. The Lord spared his life. Go Google it. It's all over the news. It's happening right now. They just try to take him out. I'm trying to tell you all, God is on the throne and there's big things happening. But yes, the dollar will crash. Yes, there's going to be hard times for some people because you're not listening. Jesus is coming. I'm trying to warn you all. Jesus is coming. There's a great economic shaking about to take place. And it's going to be like I said, I've seen trade wars coming. I saw trade wars with China. I saw trade wars with all kinds of things. I have to be very careful because I'm live, and I'm sure, because I can't edit all this stuff, they'll try to pull me down. But I want to tell you all that there's a storm coming. There's a storm coming. But at the same time, there's a glorious outpouring. And there will be a great shaking come. And there will be a mighty move of God's presence on his church. And it's not all doom and gloom. But yet you need to know both sides. I can't sit here and tell you, sugarcoat everything and tell you all, everything's going to be great. No, there's going to be hard times for some people. And there's going to be a lot of people that go without if you're not listening to him and being prepared for what's coming. But I just wanted to come on here today and tell you, look at what the Lord did. Look at what the Lord did. God did it. He protected President Trump. And I believe with all my heart, good days are still yet to happen. But wow. It shook me. It is even, like I said, the blood flowed down his face just like I saw in the vision. And the Lord said, intercede. And that's why I said, I prayed all night. And I was in there and the Lord told me today, he said, you must pray for it will happen today. You must pray for it will happen today. And I said, yes, Lord, I will intercede. And that's why I'm calling you to pray. I'm calling you to pray, y'all. Do you understand? That's why I'm here. I'm not here for anything, for entertainment, like I said. I'm on here to warn you and to tell you Jesus is coming. The power grid, yes. You got to pray over that. There will be, even whenever I told you all about the power grid, to pray and intercede over this, there will be a 3-week period. I saw 3 weeks for some cities, and I saw Houston. And like I said, when you're seeing over in the spirit and you're praying, like I had these visions and the Lord shows me things when I'm praying. A lot of times you can add to it, and you'd be like, well, what is this going to be? Or this has to be terrorist related or whatever. And it could have been the hurricane. But the Lord warned me that there would be people without power, even in Houston. I told you all, Houston, it'll be Atlanta soon. I prayed over Atlanta. I've prayed over Pennsylvania, Chicago, New York. And I've been and those are the cities, the major cities that I saw with power problems coming.
Wow, that's quite fascinating. You know, some of the things he talks about, we've covered on this stuff before. The dollar crashing in a new currency and power outages and such. So in part 2 of our podcast, we're going to have another clip from Brandon Biggs, who goes into more detail about the economic crash that he sees happening after the election. We'll be right back. Hello again. This is The Watchman. Please join us each week for an exciting and inspirational podcast dealing with angel encounters, heavenly visitations, near-death experiences, as well as modern-day prophecies that are relevant to us today. So tune in each week and share it with your friends. After all, they could use a little inspiration in their life, too. That's the Watchman on the Wall podcast, and now you can find us on YouTube. Now, in part 2 of our podcast today, Brandon Biggs talks about the economic crash and how that's going to affect us here in America. He goes on to talk about the fall of the dollar, bank failures. He saw people in food lines. He talked about the stock market, and he said that President Trump, when he's reelected, will have to come up with a new currency. And he talks a little bit about that. I think that's quite interesting. So here now is that newly released Brandon Biggs prophecy.
Hey, good morning, family. How are y'all doing today? Well, I have some things on my heart. First off, I just want to say thank you for all the likes and all the subscribes. God bless you all. To all the new people, I mean, it's growing every day. There's thousands of new people that are coming over. And I just want to say thank you all for your support. So a lot of people wanted to know about the economic crisis that I saw coming. I believe it happens at the beginning of next year, going into, and that's why some people say that's what I saw, that it was in the winter months whenever this crash happens. So will it happen this year or will it happen next year? All I know is that when you're seeing in the spirit, you see in part, you hear in part, you know, and a day is like 1,000 years to the Lord, okay? So when you're seeing this spirit, you think it's imminent. It could happen right now. But it may be 2 years down the road, 3 years. But I believe it's something that's going to happen quickly, okay? Because that's what I was showing. So nobody said, well, you missed it. No, it's still going to happen. It is a planned economic collapse. I saw a dam full of like all kinds of like bad things. It would look like sludge. It was all kinds. I saw barrels and they had writing on the side of them, and it said about finances, bank collapse, bank structure meltdown. It was all kinds of like big 50-gallon drums. This is interesting because I've never shared this before. It was a dam. It looked like a Hoover Dam, and it had water, of course, but it wasn't water. It looked like nasty, swampy, muddy-looking, thick water. It was gross. And there were 50-gallon drums balancing up and down in that sludge. And they had written on them like economic crisis. It had like I'm saying, dollar crash, things like that. And they were written on the barrels. And it was all being contained by this dam. And the Lord said, they're holding back all that until the election is over. And when that is over, it will be released. That's what I saw. And I saw that dam break and it flooded upon the American soil. And all those 50-gallon drums fell and rolled down. It was like a toxic waste is what it looked like rolling down out of that big dam. And so, like I said, I've never shared that publicly. But, okay, so when this happens, I saw food lines. I saw people lined up down the street, and it happened like that. It was that quick. I saw the stock market ticker. I was watching the TV, and the lady came on the TV lady came on there, and it was, I believe it was CNBC that was on the TV channel, and and the ticker was going down, and the stock market was crashing, and people were freaking out. It was it was terrible, and everything happened that fast. The dollar collapses, and so all that dam was released, and then all the dollar crashed, and it was people, like I said, were standing. There was, and like I've said this too, I don't know how long it lasts. When I'm talking about President Trump praying in the Oval Office, it could have been praying for months. I believe this thing lasts. I've told you about the 4 oak trees. People want to know about the 4 oak trees. What about the 4 oak trees? What about the 4 oak trees? What does that mean? I believe it means 4 years of an economic downturn. Bad. And it will take that time frame for things to get better. I said the first year came on suddenly and people did not expect it. And I saw their faces. They had dirt on them. They looked dirty. They looked like the children that you see pictures of in the Depression. They look, their clothes looked dingy toward the 2 middle years. And I saw people really struggling in those 2. The first year was bad. The second year was bad. The third year was bad. And things started to turn around into the 4th year. They started coming out of it. Okay? And I saw the 4 years, 4 oak trees. First year came on really quick. I'm going to repeat it again. First year came on like overnight. Bam. People weren't expecting it. They lost everything. They were in their shorts and they were in t-shirts and they were freezing. This was a symbolic thing. It was not about that they were cold, but it was like, oh no, it's shock. Oh, the cold air came. The leaves on the trees fell and everything was barren. The oak tree was still alive, which represents America. But the leaves and the fruit of the tree was stripped off, which was prosperity, the blessing, the acorns, okay? Was stripped off and it fell. It was gone. 4 years, I believe. Some people say it's 4 seasons. I do not. I believe in my spirit it's 4 years. First year was really hard. People were in their winter clothes, their summer clothes. They were cold. They did not like it. The next 2 years, people had winter clothes on, but they looked dirty. They had dirt on their face. They were struggling. They acted like it's almost like you're going through that war-torn time. Like you're like, oh, woe's me. You know, like we're bearing it up. They've got grit. We're going to make it through it. But you can see they're struggling. They're having a hard time. The 4th year was coming out of the bondage. I saw Trump taking pieces of a ship that went poof, okay? And it was America's ship. And all the ship had different pieces. I saw a wing over here. I saw a cockpit over there. I saw the tail over here. I saw the wheels of the ship. It's not a ship. It's a plane. A rocket ship is what I'm trying. A rocket ship, okay? It's not a boat. It's a ship, like a rocket ship. So the wheels were off, and everything was pieces everywhere. But this is amazing, because in the vision, President Trump took a piece of the wing and piece of another piece, and he couldn't put it back together. I want you to hear what I'm saying, okay? This is very important. Listen to me. He couldn't put it back together the way it was before. He took it and put it back together to make it usable, and how he could salvage it the best he could. Okay? And he created a new kind of an airplane. It could fly, but it was never as good as the original. It was never as good as the original. It could fly. This plane that he will build will fly again. I believe in the 4th year. But it will never be America like it was. Okay? It was a type and shadow. I saw USA written on the airplane in black letters. And it was a silver plane that looked mirrored. It was a mirrored looking plane, like aluminum. Okay? That's the way the plane looked. I feel the Holy Spirit on this. I need you to hear me. I'm warning you. On the plane, it said USA, but it never was built back the way it was supposed to. It had the parts looked like it was never going to fly again. It looked impossible for what I saw in the vision. One wing was like kind of crooked looking. The other wing was kind of looking like this, and the back tail wing had holes in it. But he got that plane off the ground. And I thought, there's no way that's ever going to fly again. Most people didn't think so. But the Lord spoke to me and he said, I'm bringing a wisdom like Solomon to help. For this will be my rescue to America. And in this, he said, there will be a great humbling that will come. And in the humbling, America will be rebirthed. There will be a rebirthing come for America. And I saw America start to come up off that ground in this broken up looking airplane, looking ship looking thing, rocket ship. And it started to fly, but it was like a biplane, like barely wanting to go. It wasn't a jet no more. It wasn't a rocket, but it was a plane that was flying. And then the Lord showed me upon Mexico. I saw Canada and I saw America, and they created no borders. I want to call borders because I'm not going to add to or take away from anything. I'm going to get in trouble again. I did not see no borders. I saw that there was no financial borders. That's a better way to say it. No financial borders. I never saw no borders like you were able to come into Mexico and everybody else with no security. I saw no financial borders. That's a better way to say that, because the people will be going, well, you missed that. He's going to build a wall. No, he will build a wall. Okay? And there will be, I've seen that. There will be a wall built. But financial borders is a better way to say this. Okay? And they created a one currency between them to try to combat the BRICS. Combat the BRICS nations, okay? Because they were strong and they were trying to thrive without America. And he created a Mexico-Canada currency. He signed contracts. They created their own thing. That's how they were trying to salvage what they could. England and Germany, France, all of Europe join in with the financial system with America. That's just why the euro collapses too. When the dollar collapses, the euro collapses. And I'm trying to warn you about this because the Lord warned me. I was finished with the video, and so I'm adding this in there right now. The euro is going to collapse. The dollar is going to collapse. The BRICS is going to take over and be the super hub of the world. They're going to have their oil. They're going to do it with Saudi Arabia. I'm warning you all. I hope you're listening. Saudi Arabia, China, Japan, Russia, all of the Middle East will all follow the BRICS nations. Venezuela will follow the BRICS nations. Africa will join up with the BRICS nations. All of it. Egypt, all of it. It will all join there. And eventually, I said, the flag starts to spread out like a Chinese flag. And it goes all throughout all of the Middle East, all of Africa, and it keeps going. It looks like an Indiana Jones. Remember, I warned you all. It'll be the videos down below. And it goes boing, 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 and it spreads. And it goes throughout some of South America, but not all of South America. Okay? So this is what the Lord showed me about. This will be when Trump's in office, okay? Australia will join in. They will be a ally to America. They will stand strong. So will England. So will Canada. So will Mexico. And Mexico, I told you all, was neutral. They just wanted to be where the money was. They were kind of just, they were in the neutral zone. Like, we don't want to be broke. We want to go in. But that's whenever Donald Trump makes this deal. I'm telling you, I've seen this in the spirit. I'm warning you all. He creates a Canada, I'll say this again, a Canada, Mexico, America. No financial borders for I hope I don't butcher this name, Yamero. Yamero, is that right, son?
Yamero, something like that.
Something like that, whatever. But it's a new currency that was like that. But Europe will join up with it, okay? And that they will try to combat with the BRICS. And it will fly some, but it will not be as strong ever. People say, well, why would the euro crash? Why would that happen? An escalation of war in Europe. A great acceleration with Russia, Ukraine, and Poland all getting involved. And this is why there will be a major draft soon. I've warned you all. I've seen a draft in America, not just with men, but with women, because they've asked for equal rights. They've asked for women to be created equal, not to look at it as sexist and all this other stuff. So they will add that into the draft bill for women to be drafted and men. Okay? So this is what I saw. This is the plan. I don't know if it will ever get passed. I pray it doesn't. I'm praying against this stuff. But this is what I see when I pray. I warn you all of things to come. This is what is stirring in the spirit. Some of the stuff you can't pray. It won't stop, Brandon, but I'm just letting you know. So I'm just, the war in Europe will cause the euro to crash. So he builds that plane, and so then I see us coming out of it. And I see America, like I said, I saw revival. I saw revival break forth. I saw in these hard times, I saw revival. I saw a shaking. I saw people thinking, this is an Ichabod. God left. I heard people saying that. This is God's judgment on America. And the Lord said to me, Brandon, this is not my judgment upon America. This is my wake up. This is a wake-up call. This is correction. For you will not be a goat nation. You will be a sheep nation that serves me. And because, I've told you all, because of the covenants that were made at Plymouth Rock, they all stood around Plymouth Rock, and I saw the old ancestors of our country all standing around Plymouth Rock, taking communion and calling out for a God-fearing nation, a one nation under God. That's the kind of people that stood on that soil, and they proclaimed that this would be a nation that serves God. And he said, those prayers still come before my throne. And he said, Brandon, I will not let those prayers be ignored. I still hear them. They still cry out to me. And he said, I honor them. And not just because of how bonehead these people are, but like what we have in the office now. But he said he's going to bring that back still, and they will stand. This will be a righteous nation again.
Well, thanks again for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends. Any comments or suggestions you may have, you can send to the Watchman on the Wall 2020 at gmail.com. We encourage you to subscribe so you'll always be notified of our future episodes. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you next time on the Watchman on the Wall podcast.